to a BS podcast. Mark and Bobby back with you. So much for that more regular basis. Hey, your dead stink bug ain't dead.
Hey, he is. He's right there.
Well, there's another one on your back. Oh, my.
If you'd have let me cut the one in half, we'd have set an example and they wouldn't be messing with me.
Yeah. So just a quick reminder as we get started. We are doing a video component to the podcast now. So if you are interested in watching the podcast, you can do that on YouTube and Rumble. Just look up ABS Podcast on either one of those platforms. And I'll warn you now, the video edition's a little longer than the audio edition, because when me and Mark sit down, I just turn the camera on and let it roll till we're done. And I mean like done. So you usually get a little more of the, we'll say behind the scenes, if you will.
Hey, I wanna call this meeting to attention here, and I want to kind of change our format, and I want to start with the airing of grievances.
Oh,
I have a
okay.
grievance with you.
Oh, God.
You had your first live, and you did not let me know it was going on.
It was kind of a last minute deal. So, because you're not the only one that made a comment about that.
Yeah. You have a live. Don't even tell me.
Yes, I did a live on my Bobby Six Guns After Hours channel on YouTube. And what prompted that was that channel hit 100 subscribers a couple weeks ago, and I decided I should do a giveaway.
That I wasn't eligible for.
You were too.
You said if I won, you wouldn't give it to me.
That's because you wouldn't have used it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd have given you that, and I'd have showed up with a pipe, and I says, all right, now, you're going to pack this, and you're going to smoke it. all 8 ounces of it. But, no, anyway, so I had hit that 100 subscriber mark, and this will kind of lead into our conversation tonight, too. So one of the things that I have noticed, especially on the pipe community that is on YouTube, everybody is just so generous and giving, and everybody wants people to try stuff, and you see folks doing giveaways and all kinds of stuff on a fairly regular basis. And I thought with hitting that milestone of 100 subscribers, and I will tell you, I hit 100 subscribers on my After Hours channel faster than I hit 100 subscribers on my Firewood channel.
I got like 6. Graham, keep going. I'm just...
But anyways, it was, I just wanted to kind of do something nice, and I happen to have... we'll just say I have a few of those 8-ounce tins of Sutliff Maple Shadows. So I thought, well, heck, I can give one of those away. So I snatched one of them out of the basement. And
Are those the ones that you were hoarding?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
So I want to give one of those away. And I told the people, in order to enter to win, all you had to do was comment on that video. I think I put that video out like on a Wednesday, and I told them they had till Friday. And when I did the video announcing the contest, I says, so everybody knows up front, I'll draw a winner this weekend. I don't know if it'll be Saturday or Sunday, because...
As in last week.
This past weekend.
Just so nobody listening.
Right. So I was doing that. Well, Saturday... I knew I had 4-H Saturday morning. I knew I had kids. Well, that turned out we had a full class, an almost full class, and then should have had an almost full class from 1 to 3, but we had 2 kids call in sick, or called off because they were sick. So we wound up with a small group in the last, but I was still there. It was like 3:15 or something before I got out of the fairgrounds and out of the blacksmith shop. Had to run some errands in town, come home. The girls had stuff that they wanted to do, and then Hadley was like, "Hey, my boyfriend's at work. Can we go out for supper?"
She does not sound like that. She's got a higher voice.
Anyways, so she wanted to go to Matt Anthony's for supper.
Saturday, right?
Saturday
that was when you
night.
were telling me you had to chauffeur a bunch of girls around.
No, actually, Hadley chauffeured us around.
Oh.
I was surprised me and Carmen didn't tie on a good one.
I'm real surprised you didn't.
I didn't. I had actually, I will tell you this. Matt, sidetracked here. Matt Anthony's, you probably don't know what a painkiller is, but Matt Anthony's had a painkiller on their menu. I'm not typically into those like tiki type drinks. I'm a whiskey and beer guy, predominantly whiskey, but I love a good painkiller, and I got hooked on those while we were in South Padre.
I knew some people hooked on painkillers.
Wrong kind of.
Oh.
This has got a lot of rum in it, and some coconut milk and some other stuff. Anyways, it was delicious, and I got the first one. The lady, the waitress brought it and sat it down on the table. I bet I cleared that glass in 3 seconds flat. It was empty, and I was like, I looked at Carmen. I was like, I'm going to have to switch over to beer. This is going to be bad.
What'd you eat there? You get their smoked wings?
No, they're Philly cheesesteak. I love their Philly cheesesteak.
That is like, because you're the one, there's Matt Anthony's at Fort Wayne we never ate at, but you told me, I think Carmen was working there.
Yeah.
And me and Katie went and, we went and tried it one night because I was going to try to blow Carmen some crap, but she wasn't working. But yeah, we got food. It was like good food, really reasonably priced.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, everything about it.
Dude, so,
nice
like,
atmosphere.
Like 3 of us went in there and had supper. We had an appetizer, and I had a few drinks, and it was like $76.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat.
Yep. No,
And the food's good. It usually doesn't take too long.
no.
But anyways, back to the live.
Let's get back to that.
Okay. So anyways, by the time we got back from town, it was like 10 o'clock, and I told Carmen I was going to come out here and do that Saturday night. And then by the time we got home, I was like, nope, I got no desire to go down to the barn and do it. So I thought, I'll do it Sunday afternoon. So we got up, we went to church Sunday morning. Left church, we had the girls wanted to run some errands in town when we got out of church. I wanted to try cutting up on that tree, because we lost that oak tree. So anyways, we ran our errands, come home, changed clothes, had some lunch, and then I worked outside all day. You'd been over and run the tiller over, so we went out back and we got potatoes put in the ground. And then I went and cut on that tree for a while, and Carmen called me up for supper, and we got done eating, and I was like, well, I'm going to go out to the barn and do my thing. It was still daylight out. I'm thinking it's like 7 o'clock or something. Oh, God, no, it was almost 9. I was like, holy crap. So I was like, I'm going to figure out how to do this live thing, because that way I can get the video out. I don't have to edit nothing. It's just done. And that's what brought the live about, was me trying to get the video out Sunday night without me having to, record something, stick it through, do my intro, my outro, all that sort of stuff on it, wait for it to upload. So that's what brought the live about.
Well, I just hope you can tell by the seriousness in my voice that I would like a heads up. I would love to be on a live.
And so honestly, I think I'm going to start doing them on a somewhat regular basis.
Like our podcast regular, or like actually really regular?
More regular than the podcast. It was easy, but the hard part is to schedule it, as I gotta know that I can dedicate that time to it.
Yeah.
But like I can schedule it like days in advance is the cool part. But more than like, yeah, so you can go on and schedule the live. So it'll put up a post, like it'll come through on your under your subscriptions. It'll show up and you'll get a community post that says, and you just click the button that says notify me, and then it will notify you when that goes live.
Yeah.
But it kind of gives you the date and the time of the live. Because I had some other folks that said to give them a heads up next time too.
Yeah.
The funny part was my good buddy Ace, Wallace, he just happened to be at a time spot and at work that he was allowed to have his phone out, and so he wound up on it, which was kind of cool.
You're gonna spill the beans one of these times with Ace.
No, I don't think so.
No, that was, yeah. You called and told me that. I was disappointed because I'm like, man, I wanted. I just knew you.
If it wasn't 9 o'clock on a Sunday night,
oh,
I'd
I
have called
get
you
it.
and told you. But after 8, you don't answer your phone.
No, I don't. Usually after 8, I don't have my phone on me.
Well, what good would it have done for me to call you?
You could have done like you love to do. Well, I tried calling you. I told you so.
Well, next time I'll just lie to you.
Yeah, really, that's all you gotta do is I tried calling you, like, oh, sorry. I'm glad to see that project's coming along pretty good. Look at that. Look at that.
Hey, I've been practicing blowing smoke rings. I'm still not very good at it.
I'm so thankful that we spent like $4,000 a kid for them to go scuba diving, and all they do when we go to the pool to practice is they both lay on the bottom of the pool and blow rings. That's all they do. I just, if they were guys, I'd go kick them in the nuts. Like, you were just they're not disappointments, but it's like we buy you clothes, we send you to school, and you still eat the crayons.
It's good for them.
Yeah. Well, I know there's some other stuff that we're going to talk about because you were the second most cryptic person I know when it comes to talking. Because this is how it goes with Bob. He calls. He says, "Hey, I got a subject for the podcast. I'm gonna give you one word."
I give you more than a word. I
can't even tell you. I can't even remember what the word is. It's not family. Community.
How do you not?
It's community because you. That's not how my brain remembers stuff. You got to like flash me or something before. Not you. Not you. No.
I can
Not
say
you.
meat gazer.
No. But you gotta like, fire community. Then I'll remember. But yeah, you say, one word, community. Well, we're not talking about it till the podcast. Then you come out here with your notebook.
My notebook was already.
And I'm not going to say what tobacco because I got to ask you that. Your notebook and I thought it was a Bible, but your dictionary. Here we go. So we're going to be getting lectures. So before we get to that, what are you smoking and what are you smoking it out of?
I am smoking Captain Black Gold out of a Missouri Meerschaum Shire Cobbett. It's a acorn shape with like a horn-colored stem, I would say. It's an acrylic stem, but it's like a knockoff horn.
And so this tobacco is not like any of the tobacco you normally have. I know why you have it. Do you want to let everybody else know why?
Well, so I got a comment on a video where a guy asked me, he just bought his first corncob pipe, his first pipe, period. It happened to be a corncob. And he said locally he could get Captain Black Gold or Captain Black White, which is original. And asked me which one I would recommend. Well, I hadn't ever smoked either one. They're aromatics. When I first started smoking a pipe, I started out like most other people. I started out with aromatics, but I got like 3 or 4 different blends from the Gatlin Burlier. And so I had lots of stuff. And after I had smoked those and then tried some Virginia Dark Fire Kentucky blends and some vapors and some other stuff, I realized aromatics really weren't my thing. I didn't get much flavor out of them. To me, it's like, honestly, most aromatics taste like ash to me when you smoke them. I've tried drying them out. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And to me, I can get some sweetness out of them, but they're just kind of blah. And then I started smoking this other stuff where like you could taste things. And it was like, I could really pick up on like note the different types of tobacco, like in a vapor or like I smoke a lot of Cowboy Coffee from the Country Squire, and that stuff is like smoking a cup of good black coffee, in my opinion. It just hits right. Something like a Costa Rica blend. I have a Costa Rica medium blend, and like when I retrohale Cowboy Coffee, it gives me the same feeling I get when I'm drinking that particular coffee. And it's like, I mean, they're almost identical. So at that point, I didn't want to smoke aromatics, but I had somebody ask a question, and I basically give them a suggestion to talk to some of the other presenters on YouTube or on Instagram.
Or Rumble.
Or
Rumble.
Or Rumble, yeah. But I suggested they ask some of the other folks, but I said I can tell you by the components that I would probably lean towards the original because it was a Cavendish Burley base. And I knew from experience that Burley would be less apt to give them tongue bite. And when you're a brand new pipe smoker, you're probably going to roach your tongue. So if I can help prevent that by giving you a tobacco that's not going to be as prone to that, I think that's the right thing to do.
So to summarize what Bob's saying, he is going to smoke every tobacco there is.
Oh, so, I doubt that, but I mean,
you're gonna try.
I don't mind that anyways. I want to experience as many different tobaccos as I can. I mean, I've smoked cigars for way longer than I've smoked pipes, and one of the things that I will say, I've told some other folks when it comes to cigars, I've never not enjoyed smoking a cigar. I've had several I'll never buy again. But I'm dead serious. I don't know of a cigar that I said I could just say, I've never partially smoked, a cigar and like chucked it. It's like, this is just terrible. I've had some with bad construction that you can't get a good burn line on to save your life. And I still smoke them. And I sit there and I, use my torch lighter to clean up the burn line and try to get it to do its thing more evenly so you get a more consistent flavor out of it.
How do we ever become friends? Like, you smoke cigars and pick up on nodes and all this other stuff. I used to smoke GPC cigarettes. You drink whiskey and you're like, it's got this earthy, oaky undertone and that. We used to buy Dark Eyes vodka, mix it with Mountain Dew. And when I say used to, like, for years.
I have been seeing them post on Instagram and Facebook for Gen Xers drink alcoholic drinks that only Gen Xers will remember. And when I seen them posting Red Dog beer and Mad Dog 2020 and Boone's Farm, I was like, oh my God.
What was it?
And Purple Passion.
You know the rodeo Holly. You know the rodeo Hadley goes to over in Hat Creek. So we used to go to that, and my mom's like, "You going over there to drink 2-3s?" I'm like, "What the hell is a 2-3? 2-3 beer?"
Yeah, gas station beer.
Yeah.
That's why you could sell gas station beer. You could sell on Sunday and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and you used to only have to be 18 for it. Like, Mom, you buy my alcohol for me. You know, this is when I was a kid. What is? I don't need to go to Ohio to do that. Like, I go to Ohio, I stay sober. Like that state's out for us. But
I know when you said something, I realized that was the rodeo that you went to as kids. I handed Hadley a gun and I says, "Anybody from Monroeville shoot?"
Yeah. No,
They might be related to Mark.
No, they ain't related to me. Yeah, you know, I guess some are. Only one that would be
that's a joke, people.
The only one that would be worried about you work with. He ain't the same person he was, Chris. But yeah. So
you got to hear him talk about like getting on a health kick. It's been weird. Little Debbie himself.
He is.
Yeah.
Like he
was having some trouble where he couldn't hardly eat, and when he did eat, he'd get like it'd make him sick.
So he's not eating $40 worth of gas station food a day?
No. And he's drinking water. Not room temperature Diet Cokes.
Water, unflavored ice water is my favorite thing in the world when it's hot out. I have the hardest time not flavoring my water once it starts getting cold. I still want ice, you know, cold water, but yeah.
And see, at work, I almost have to, and maybe it's because they don't change the filter in the cooler as often as it should be.
Yeah, where that well is placed.
You mean outside my shop?
Yeah, it's like you guys share a well with your boss is one of the richest people in Allen County, and somehow you're not using your own well. The house goes for sale, and you guys somehow didn't buy it. I mean, it wasn't you guys at that point. It was way before both of us. But
I found out that one of our purchasers was told to go over there and buy that.
Yeah, Jay was.
Yeah, and they offered the dude like 2 or 3 times what they paid for it, and the guy said no.
Yeah, that guy's stupid because nothing will ever go in there. Because your boss, you guys ain't moving.
Mm-mm.
They just proved
We're
that.
committed now.
Yeah, and you ain't moving, and they're not going to put anything fancy in there because all the dust you create.
Right.
And you know they're not going to put any like medical. There's not enough ground. It's just.
Well, and besides that, the and then on top of that, you got the airport to deal with too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You get too tall. So, community.
So what got me thinking about this? What is a community?
You're going to make me look stupid. A community is to me, a community would be a group of people not related. Not saying that disqualifies you, but a group, you and me are a community. Our families are a community.
Right.
That's to me. I don't have the literary verbiage to be able to describe that.
Okay.
But.
Well, and that was why I brought my dictionary so we could get a non-DEI. It's an older dictionary, people. So a non-DEI answer.
Did you get that next to your encyclopedias? You remember
Not that
those?
one. Yeah. I grew up. We had a full set of encyclopedias. But anyways, so what prompted this question was an individual that I do watch on YouTube who can at times be quite, let's just say he has a tendency to get folks worked up. I don't get too worked up over anything he says because it's like sometimes I agree with him and sometimes I don't.
Is his first name Matt?
No.
Oh.
So I watch and kind of see what he has to say, and then if I don't agree with it, I don't agree with it. I won't do that with anybody. I don't go on there and attack them and tell them that, hey, you're wrong or any. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Have at her. But he made a comment that he doesn't think that that the online community isn't really a community, because a community you have to partake in. That's the people around you. That's the people that you interact with on a personal, in-person basis. And so what got me thinking about this more, because I watched these videos and then I just was like, I didn't agree with it, because like you and I have had conversations about this in the past. Heck, we've even talked about it on here, on the firewood side. And Monday night, I went to Massinawala Cigar Company, and we had like an impromptu Indiana Pipe Club meetup. Because one of the fella on his way to the Chicago Pipe Show, who happens to be I think he's the secretary of the UPCA. I think that's right. Thought if we're going to have a club meeting, he would stop. So they put out a thing, hey, we're going to do an impromptu, kind of hang out with the guy from UPCA. And so I left work early and I went down there and hung out. I like going to Massinawala anyways. It's a great cigar lounge. And they're very hospitable to us pipe smokers. And they have a great bar.
You got to be a member?
Nope.
Okay.
No. The only thing they ask you to do is, buy a cigar, buy a drink, spend some money with them.
Yeah.
But great guys. And so I went down there to that, and it got me thinking about that. I was driving home because Monday night was absolutely gorgeous out. So I'm boogieing up out in the middle of nowhere up north on 15 north of Marion, headed back towards home. Just between the fields, enjoying the warm spring air. And I got to thinking about that. It was like, well, even if you think that a community has to be in person, this right here just proves it. Because I didn't know any of them people until I met them through Instagram or YouTube. All of those people, all those relationships started up through a podcast, YouTube, or Instagram. That's how I know all this stuff's going on. And so I interact with these people through podcasts, through YouTube channels, through Instagram posts, and I comment on posts or videos. So you kind of get a feeling that you know some folks. And then to me, it really concretes that community when we get together at a pipe show, at a pipe club meetup, any of these events that people go to. And I just don't understand how somebody can't understand or grasp that is community.
I'd almost say that's more the online community, the social community is more community than anything.
Yeah.
Anymore. You get on TikTok, every night I get on there and I'll see a few videos. This one dude just does lives every night like he's a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he is a DJ, but he's just like doing your high school dance. It's weird, but it's like dude's always got people in there watching, and what you find like-minded people, and then you frag off and you're pipe smokers. Mm-hmm. Then you find out it's like, oh hey, you ride motorcycles too, like
motorcycles. They're into guns. They're
Yeah.
a few of them I ran in. I mean, my firewood channel. I've met 2 or 3 people that are Piper cigar smokers. You know, like you said, once you start getting with these people, it's like, and you meet them and you get to know them on a personal level. You got even more in common. So to me, that even strengthens that community, or makes it more of a community.
And it also, it's neat with social media. Like, you can have your live. 20, 30 years ago, me and Katie might have come over here and played euchre on Friday nights or whatever, because that's what you did to have that involvement with each other.
Right.
Now, Katie and Carmen can have a group text about gardening. I could be on your your YouTube live, and it's the same engagement with each other.
Yeah. Well, and what I was going to say, even prior to that, you called on the phone, you mailed each other. Even if you lived just across, if we lived in the same, like you and me, we don't live in the same towns, but we live in the same community.
Yeah.
Same area.
You live in a better county.
Yeah.
You don't gotta lie, you do.
I'd rather live in your county because the taxes are cheaper.
Well, that's because we let steel bills just do whatever they want.
But anyways, even before the internet and all that sort of stuff, we'd talk to each other on the phone. Even back then, it wasn't always person to person. It wasn't always us meeting up at the diner and, in town and having coffee. Yeah. It could have been letters in the mail. It could have, yes, young people, at one point in time, we wrote letters and stuck them in the mail, and we sent them to one another and used it as a form of communication.
Really, you remember, we used to do it to perfect strangers in grade school.
Oh, yeah, I remember doing pen pals, yeah.
I always got the pen pals that were worse than me at writing. It's like, gosh, I hope you don't have this much trouble with mine.
I just always figured my teachers had made up their mind about me because my pen pal was always in prison.
Do you, and I hate to say, gosh, I hate to say this, but did you guys ever write them to Army, service members? Like write letters?
No. I don't ever remember doing that.
They went through some of the ones people in our class wrote and made us all rewrite them. Or we had to all rewrite them. Because they're like, people are asking, how many people have you killed? And it just, like, real inappropriate stuff we're third graders or whatever it was. But
we had that conversation when I was in vocational school on career day.
Yeah.
They have people come in and talk to you about, and of course the Army shows up and wants all of the mechanics to join the Army to be mechanics. And that was a question that got asked. That was, what's the worst thing you've seen since you've been in the Army? And the one guy says, I don't remember if it was like shortly after he got into the military. He started out in the infantry, and they were on some drill, a live fire drill someplace, and they had an accidental discharge off of a 50 BMG, and he says, basically, we watched a dude get shot in the chest at point blank range, and he's like, that's an image that will never leave me.
Yeah.
But after that story, I've never asked anybody what, because it's like, I don't want to know.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's some crazy stuff, and just like military mechanics. Like anybody would say, and like we all better have, I have the utmost respect for the military.
Absolutely.
Do not go there to be a mechanic. Go there and be a mechanic. Don't go there to learn how to be a mechanic.
Correct.
This engine won't start. Put a new engine in it. The rear axle don't move. It's like, oh, get a new Hummer. and that's just, we've both worked with ex-military mechanics.
Yes.
And they're good after about 5 or 6 years once you can get that military out of them. I see you're opening the Bible, or the dictionary.
Yeah, so I wanted to read this is a New Webster's Dictionary. I gotta find it again. Hang on. Community. Multiple. That doesn't say multiple.
Sound it out, Bob.
Community. Mutual participation. The public. A society of persons under the same laws. That is the definition in this New Webster's Dictionary.
You want to know what AI Google has to say?
Sure.
A group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. A feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing a common attitudes, interests, and goals. I mean, I ain't going to say that's woke.
No, and I think that sums up an online community or an online group.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that pretty much specifies that it could be a...
I got it.
What's that?
If you're ready to hear it.
Oh, Lord.
A group of independent organisms of different species growing or living together in a specified habitat. There is your woke. Because to be woke to me doesn't always have to be something like where they're going to somehow throw the LGBTQ plus in there. It just has to like way overcomplicate something.
Yeah, it has to
like
take
that.
humanity out of it.
Yeah, above that, it's a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of a common attitudes, interests, and goals. Like they're all saying the same thing, and then a group of independent organisms. That is.
Well, and like I said, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but to me, if you don't think it's possible to create a community online, I think you're missing a lot. I think you're missing a lot of potential. Because I know just in the little bit that I have been involved in different online communities, I honestly have better interactions with those communities than the ones that have always been solely in person. And I think it's because when it really comes down to it, those people that I start out with through online, I think you actually have more in common with than people. Because let's be realistic, if it's solely in person, the thing that you'll run into is that community is somewhat put together, not because you have similar beliefs, ideas, or any of that. Sometimes it's because, well, I like to do this one thing, and this is the only group around here where I can go and do it. So I'm going to go and do it. But that may be the only, which is fine. I mean, I think you'd run into that in the pipe and cigar communities. I think you'd run into that in the firewood. I think you'll run into that in the firearms community. And that's fine. I'm perfectly good with that. But I think when you have a broader group of people that you can interact with, I think that you'll find that there's more people that have multiple things in common. Am I making any sense? I feel like I'm all over the place here.
I agree with you.
You didn't answer my question.
Did I show you my wallet from Finland?
Left turn, Clyde.
I have no clue, Bob. I mean, yeah. as $163.
Are you serious?
It's artisan.
I'd be pissed.
I don't know.
It's cool,
Yeah.
but it's like
It probably ain't $163 worth. I think it's going to last longer than like the other wallets I've had.
it is heavy leather.
Yeah. There ain't no money in it. I agree with you. I agree with you. Like I say, I don't have the vocabulary to explain it the way you do.
I'm not sure I have the vocabulary to explain it or even fully mesh it out. It's just, I don't know. I heard that and I just thought,
I knew it struck a chord with you.
well, it was, and it didn't make me mad. I was just trying to understand how somebody could think that way. And because
somebody who has a predominant YouTube or social media figure,
he even has his own platform.
yeah, saying that.
Yeah. It's like,
Are you going to say who it was?
no.
Will you tell me all fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no point in bringing that part up.
Okay.
It's just the idea. Because, like I said, it's somebody I enjoy watching a lot of his stuff. Even a lot of the stuff that irritates people. Like I said, I don't mind. I think everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And if he wants to say it, I think he should.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some opinions I keep to myself just because they're not worth debating at times, especially with people online, because you're going to run into, and I haven't had this trouble. I mean, on the pipe and tobacco groups online, but like I have on some other lines or other groups that I've been part of online, and you run into the keyboard warriors. I mean, so there's just no.
I think some of these opinion hosts or whatever you'd call them, or political fit, whatever, sometimes they just got to kick their own hornet's nest. But I agree. I agree with you 100%.
So, I don't know. And like I said, he brought it up. It's been a couple weeks back, and I hadn't really. I watched that video, and I was just like, well, I disagree, and I went on to something else. I didn't.
Oh, you mean you didn't like get your torches out and
no
cancel?
And
them
I just went on to the next thing. You know, I didn't give it much thought, but it hit me driving home Monday night from that Pipe Club meetup, and it was like, to me, that just absolutely proved the community. I mean, and this is, we had a guy that drove from Long Island, New York to Gas City, Indiana, stop there on his way and come a little early so he could come and meet with the Indiana Pipe Club. And granted, he had another destination in mind, but it's still the idea behind that. Even going to that pipe show. I mean, that's the whole reason after going to the Muletown Pipe Show, the whole reason I want to go to the Chicago Pipe Show. I don't even care if I buy anything. I just want to
get the hot dogs.
What?
Chicago hot dogs.
Oh, anyway. I just want to go and be involved.
Yeah.
Because it was so much fun to just be with all those other people. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversations that were had and hanging out with people, meeting people, and which is weird because generally I'm not a people person. And that's kind of why I'm going by myself to Chicago. Like Ace and Brandon went with me to Muletown, and it kind of gave me a a safety net. Like, I didn't have to introduce myself to anybody. It was like, I pretty much, you know how I am. If I don't know people, I don't talk to them. And so I really didn't talk to a lot of people there that I hadn't and some of the people I knew through YouTube, but it was like, yeah, I'll introduce myself another time. And with Chicago, that's kind of the reason I didn't say anything to anybody else about going with me, is I want to go by myself, so I'm kind of force myself out there, if that makes any sense.
Well, at least I know why you didn't invite me.
I didn't invite you because you wouldn't have gone.
You're right.
I know you well enough. There's some things I just don't ask because I just know how they go.
So, can I talk about something?
Yeah.
I'm
good.
Are you?
I
You're
vented.
good? You got it out?
I guess my big thing is, if anybody out there that don't think that you can have a community via the internet, you're wrong. And that's my opinion.
Well, I thought that was going elsewhere. So, other than the birth of my kids, getting married, those ones, yada, 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 I had one of the top 5 best days of my life today. I've already told you. We already talked about it. And I know you got off the phone with me and you're like, that dude is a total botard. But
no, I got off the phone and I thought, God, I wish he'd just save this stuff for the podcast.
Yeah. So, well, we're going to talk about it. This morning, I went for like a meet and greet with the ferry company that I'm going to work for in Ohio. That I'm going to work part-time with, and maybe full-time. It started, and this whole thing was just, I was going to go there, meet with the owner, meet with the owner's brother, just kind of meet the whole family that owns it, meet the chief engineer and a few of the captains. And it was never, couple hours tops. And that's kind of how it was. Well, I got there, took the 8:30 boat over, got there at 9. Billy, the owner, this dude is just awesome. Like he grew up on the island. Like if Put-in Bay had a mayor, it's Billy Market. Like this dude, he knows everybody, and he's just he knows so much about the island. So he picks me up. We go down to the office, which is downtown, overlooking Put-in Bay. We sit down, and it's, we keep this clean, so I can say what Billy was saying. It wasn't anything dirty, but it was, BS. He's like, we're just going to BS. We're just going to BS. And it's just like, that's all he kept saying. I'm like, oh, God, what are we going to talk? Let's go back to the podcast. We ain't going to know what to talk about. I kind of tell these other guys a little bit of my history, and the one engineer. Now, an engineer is a mechanic. In the maritime world, chief engineer, that's just a lead mechanic. The chief engineer was in there, gets a call. He's like, I got to go now. And Billy's like, Mark, you go with Bob. And this guy's name's Bob. You go with Bob.
Because all the good people's name is Bob.
He is a lot like you. That's how I could remember his name, because he was a lot like you. I knew that we were doing stuff Bob's way. And not only because Bob's in charge and Bob's been doing this for, before. He's worked for this company since before I was born. And I'm not a spring chicken. So he's worked there a long time. But we head down, and it's a so we go down. They got it's their big car ferry. They had an air leak, have trouble holding air pressure, and that's important on these ferries because they use air starters and air controls. And then they had a fuel leak. This ferry just got back from its 5-year dry dock. They redid everything. The engine room was like a brand new engine room. And not saying I've been in a whole bunch. I've been in a couple. And I've been around equipment. Like, it was spotless. They figured out it was a loose banjo bolt for the fuel, but the air, it was just the solenoid. It would be the equivalent to the exciter wire with the air start. But this a nipple broke. That's it. And they said that they actually had that issue. So we got that fixed. I hopped in there, and I was respectively helping. It's like, I want to help, but I don't want to get in your way.
Right.
But we got it all handled, and he looked at me and says, "Well, you just want to go for a ride with them?" And I'm sitting there, just like, the kid inside of me is screaming, "Yes!" And I'm like, "What? Yeah, that's fine." That dude takes me up to the pilot house. I can't hold it back any longer. I'm up there just twitching my leg. I was smiling like the first time you had sex or something. I have this big old grin. And the boat captain looked at me and he's like, "I'd let you drive, but I told you." But he said, he's worried about what I might do to the steering wheel. and it was so cool just to watch, for that being the pinnacle of what I want to do, and to be up there with them. It was so cool. And I got to take 4 trips in the pilot house. Got to work on the engines. On that first trip, Bob says, "Hey, let's go down and let's make sure everything's going." So, I'm walking down the stairs with the chief engineer. It's one of the earlier runs, so the boat is packed. And I'm, it's like, yeah, it's like the feeling I used to have driving back to the shop in a service truck.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, kids, that's right. Stay in school. You can do this. But we go down to the engine room, and I'm in between 2 C-18s. Now, maybe you know, maybe you don't. The C-15's kind of Cat's platform. That's their engine that everybody. The C-18 is like they fed a C-15 a bunch of steroids, and then told the engineers, "We'll just see how much horsepower you can make." And these were Marine ones, so they're 12 to 1,500 horse apiece. Standing in between those while the engine's under load, because you got these displays, and it was showing they were getting into some rough water, so they had to really bear down on them, and they're like 86% load. You're not going to see those. Those hit 100%. It's a bad day for something for fuel, but. I'm in between 3,000 horsepower, and that's really cool. And I'm not kidding. At that point, I'm like, this is why I was put on this earth, was to do this. I don't care if I can't make it up to that pilot house. I do. I want to drive the boat. But just that was, I never had that feeling being a mechanic, and it was so great. I was so yitty, and then the day just, excuse me, keeps getting better. Billy, the guy who owns the company, he owns it with his siblings. But Billy, the guy who's in charge, takes us out to a place called Topsy's on Put-in Bay. Yeah, maybe you've been there. It's a bar that overlooks the bay, and you staple dollars to it, and like the pillars by the bar, it's just people are stapling dollars on dollars on dollars. And great food. I had wings, and like I was telling you, I'm really watching what I eat. There ain't nothing wrong with chicken wings. There are when they're deep fried in corn oil. That's to me, that's it. And I'm not trying to make a health statement. I'm just staying away from inflammatory oil like that. But
absolutely,
because Sunday I'll be cooking wings and beef tallow. But yeah, so we had
Mr.
that.
Kennedy.
What's that?
Nothing.
Yeah,
I'm a beef tallow guy.
Yeah,
too,
we're gonna get sidetracked, but afterwards we walked around. He showed me a lot more stuff, and this guy was the guy you wanted telling you about a company. He told me the good stuff. He told me the bad stuff. And the bad stuff ain't no different than what you're going. You have at your family run company. It's all family run company stuff, and no, it's the bad stuff. It's not bad. It's just this is
right.
what Yep. Any day the boss's cousin might show up, and he outranks you in every which way, and he gets paid more than you. And he doesn't do anything. You get used to that. But yeah, we did all that. He took me back to the pier, and we talked. I don't know. We talked for probably another half hour, just about everything. And I was going to leave, and I'd been with Bob the whole day. So the trips we made on the boat, I was with Bob. I got on one of the boats we had been on, but the crew, I'd met a lot of them. Shook hands, exchanged names. I'm sitting down on the like the car deck. One of the crew members comes and grabs me and says, "Hey, get up here. Come on. We ride up top." Like, did you just say we? Like we? Like I'm one of you? Like, let's go to war. I will kill for you. So we go up there, and it's like close the door. We don't want the riffraff in. Like, aye, Captain. It was I don't know. It was one of the top 5 best days I've had, and it was everything I had not to call work a quit. Because there's a full-time job. It's like he wants me to be full-time, but I'm trying to be responsible because there's a lot of things that have to happen. Possible another mortgage, and I've been a mechanic for 20-ish, 5-ish, but 21. I've been a mechanic about a year less than Bob when you started or whatever.
I started in 98.
Yeah, so 2 years less than Bob, like as a professional. So 25 years, we'll say. We'll just say that for easy math. I have done nothing else. And the bank likes to see stability. If I go to them as a deckhand or as a maintenance guy, they're not going to say, here's a 30.
And there's a dramatic change.
And there's a dramatic pay cut. They're not going to say, here's a 30-year note on a house that is on an island that you might not be able to afford. So right now they'll say, whatever, you make good, buddy. But so it was an awesome day. I'm really, really excited that
I could tell when you called right out of the gate.
Yeah. Oh man, I had to keep slowing down because I was driving the Jeep, so that's already rides too smooth, and I like 85 miles an hour. You know me. If speed limit's 70 out there and I'm going 65, like this is good. I was so amped up.
You were really exceeding the speed limit?
Yeah.
I've never seen that happen
It's
before.
hard to believe. The only speeding ticket I've ever got was in Ohio. But I just wanted to call my boss and quit. Just like not even disrespectfully. It's like, dude, I'm out. Like, sorry. But it's still the weirdest thing.
I know that feeling. I was him hauling over a job change once on my life, and then the company I work for sent me to a leadership training class where I was way out of place. and I got there I don't remember if that class started I think it started at 8, and I got there like crazy early. I think I showed up to where the class was at like 6:30 in the morning. So I had lots of time to kill. So I've been thinking about that the whole time. I walk in, I'm like the first person there. The people that are setting this class up are in like legit business attire. Like the one dude's in like a suit and tie. The woman is in a nice dress. And I don't mean like trampy dress. I mean like professional dress.
And somewhere on one of your clothes was a YouTube symbol.
And no, I had on a pair of nice jeans and a clean t-shirt. I still had a pair of work boots on, that were greasy and oily. I'm a service manager for a heavy equipment dealership. And I've been a mechanic my entire life. So it's not like I was just a service manager that sat in my office. And then that class started. And we went for like an hour and a half. And they had our first break. When we went to our first break, I walked directly outside, called the other company, and says, I can start in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's
finished that 2-day class that I was supposed to go back to the following week for 2 more days of hell, and was like, oh no. I went back to work. That was on a Monday, so I went back to work on Wednesday and put in my notice. It's like, I am done. This ain't for me.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, if I hadn't have gone to that class, I don't think I'd ever left the other job.
Yeah.
I really don't. That seriously turned me off. I get trying to invest in your management, and teach them leadership skills. But when you send people to a class like that, and don't get me wrong. There's some of those things that they were teaching that can be applied in a service industry. I will not disagree with that. But the stuff they're telling you, well, if you do this, this, and this, your employees will do this. It's like, have you people ever met a heavy equipment mechanic? That dude's going to tell me where to put it.
Yeah.
And no, I can't fire him because I can't replace him.
It took them a little while, but I think they've learned that.
Yeah. But it was like, because that's the one thing I drive has always drove me nuts is like, people will tell you, well, you can do this, this, and this. And we had bosses at that particular dealership. You worked there. You were service manager at one point in time there. You know exactly what I'm talking about. No, you can't do that with mechanics. They do not respond to that. Mechanics respond to one thing: money.
Yeah.
Period.
Angie was still there at that point, right?
Yeah.
And her family, though, her family owned like an Audi dealership in Columbus or somewhere.
No, they owned a Quick Lube franchise.
Oh, I thought they.
But they had several of them.
Okay, either way, they were heavy into the automotive side, and that's why
Angie herself owned a couple of them too.
Yeah,
on her own,
and that's what
because she owns the one in Rochester.
Really?
Yeah.
I told her that it's great ideas. Like, you listen to the ideas they're talking about. This is great. It doesn't translate over, because if I go and try to upsell everything to these guys, they're all business owners. They upsell, and they're going to look at it as a bait and switch, or we're just trying to get more money out of them, and then they'd always get mad at me, because the big thing was on the you're doing a repair and you find some hydraulic lines or this or that or whatever bad. I says, let's bring the mechanics in on some of the profit. We already pay them too much. No, you don't. They didn't, by no means.
Because they still weren't. The highest paid mechanic there still didn't make 30% of what the shop rate was.
Yeah. And they'd say that, and they'd say, if we start giving commissions to mechanics who have a guarantee, a guaranteed pay, we're going to have an uprising with the sales. You're wrong, because they had a PSR that his salary was higher than any of the mechanics' base salary, and he got commission.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever.
They were willing to spend money in weird places.
Yeah.
Because I got in it with the HR guy, because we hired a guy in that had no heavy equipment experience. He come from a heavy truck shop, and I put it together in the interview. He didn't have a lot of heavy truck experience.
Yeah.
He was doing brake jobs and clutches. I mean, I can train a monkey how to do brake jobs and clutches on heavy truck.
Yeah.
And it was like, when I found out what they give him for an hourly wage, they were like, well, we had to give him enough that he would be interested in coming here, or enough of a raise to make it, so it wasn't a lateral move. I was like, it wasn't a lateral move if you give him $1 more than he was making, because he had the potential.
Yeah, he was starting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, things had not got that bad to where.
And we let him work goofy hours so he could pick up his kid a certain day, because he had like joint custody of his kids.
Yeah. Some of that was, that's creative ways. But hey, with heavy equipment mechanics, realistically, they're greedy people who want to work a bunch of hours. I'm one of them. Here's how you get us to go somewhere: is money.
Yep.
Yeah, money's how you get us there, and respect's usually how you get us to stay.
When you called me during COVID, I had to, for that mechanic position at that dealership.
Yeah.
I laughed at you and says, there ain't no way I'm going back to turning wrenches. And you said, you need to just come in and talk to him. And you told me that the whole time I was laid off. And I thought, man, as soon as I go back to work, it's going to be back on the TIG welding aluminum gravy train. And finally, at the end of, what was it, my 5th or 6th week of being laid off, I finally let you convince me that I should at least go hear what they had to say. And so I did a phone interview with one guy, and then he set up an in-person interview with Chad.
Yeah.
I went in and talked to Chad. And then they offered me the job, and I was like, because you told me, just throw out a number, they'll pay it. And I threw out a number. Obviously, it wasn't high enough, but I threw out a number I didn't think they would pay me. And they was like, oh, yeah, I think we can do that. And I thought, God bless it, I should ask for more. But I told you on my way home, I was like, I still ain't doing it, because it's like, you know, if they give me a formal, what do you call that? Offer. I probably still ain't going to take it. And I think I got the offer from them. It was like my first or second day back at the boat place, welding. And we had a meeting at lunch, and they were talking about in the fall we were probably going to get laid off again. And I was like, nope, I'm done. Same deal. Went out to my truck at lunchtime. Called the dealership, says I could start in 2 weeks.
Didn't they end up going gangbusters, though?
Yeah, they went crazy. As a matter of fact,
because they called you, right?
They raised... The company didn't. Somebody I worked with called and says, hey, we need help if you're interested. And they had significantly up the pay, and I was making good money there.
Yeah.
But like, I could have left the dealership, went back there, TIG welded aluminum, and been making more money than I was at the case dealership.
Yeah, you probably should have.
It's all worked out.
Yeah, it has.
So, and I looked at my pension thing the other day, and well, I'll be honest, I'm at a point now that I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I haven't been in the union very long, but there's a lot of money in my retirement already.
Oh yeah.
It was like, I had no idea that I put that kind of money into a pension every year. I've never read those statements before. I opened the first one like 3 days ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, they just sent that one because they still send me a 103
Yeah. There's
it's a nice chunk of money.
Yeah.
It'd be real nice if you could take it out and invest it the way you want.
Yeah, you know what? Like you and I were talking, all I want that for is because I'll probably never retire anyways, because I just got to stay busy.
Yeah. This is security.
But yeah, it's basically just I know that I don't have to worry about stuff when I'm old. That's all I'm after.
You go do those little part-time jobs that you don't even ask what you're making.
Yeah,
I just need somewhere to go.
Yeah, I'm just looking for some place to hide for 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours a day.
Yeah,
2, 3, 4 days a week.
The first time I see my name on that schedule, though, I quit.
Absolutely.
Oh. Well, what else you got?
Oh, I think I made a comment to you earlier about it. Oh, Nate King just about did a bad thing to me. He keeps posting pictures from the Chicago Pipe Show, and I was ready to call off work for the next 2 days and just go to Chicago early.
Yeah.
but it's would cut into my my budget for spending at the show because I'd have to pay for a hotel room.
Oh. I still can't believe you're not taking the South Shore up there and drive through town.
Absolutely. It's Chicago. I can't carry a gun. I need an automobile so I have some type of large weapon.
Carry a hammer.
I'll have one of them too.
Oh.
But a car makes a really big hammer.
Yeah. Well, touche.
So, yeah, I'm not going through Chicago on no public transit.
I want to take it.
I have no desire to get on that thing. I rode a city bus in Chicago once, not under, like, because I was forced to. I was on a school trip, and that was how we were going from point A to point B. And, I have never been so uncomfortable in my life.
That old man gave you that physical?
Huh? No. I was up there. That was an interesting trip. That was with Dr. Folkman. That was with my German class. But, yeah. I have no desire to ever ride the bus. I'm not trying to say that because I think I'm better than anybody. It just, I don't have enough control. That just freaks me out. I'm trapped in a box with a bunch of people I don't know, and somebody's driving me around that I don't know.
See, well, but you'll get on a plane.
I've been on a plane once in my entire life.
See, I've never been on an airplane, but I think that's the issue I'd have. Like on a bus or a train or something, you can scream loud enough and they'll stop. You can get off. But on a plane, you can't.
Well, and it's funny because, like I told you, like if we go back to South Padre, we'll fly.
Yeah.
The only reason I tell you that is because if we go back, we're not going to. The last time we were gone for 12 days.
Yeah.
So we were on South Padre for 7 of those.
A little more efficient to fly.
Yeah, so if it's a shorter time frame, we would fly. But if I had the time, I would still rather drive it.
Oh,
as
yeah.
bad as that drive sucks. I mean, that was 24 hours in the car.
You go straight through?
No. We drove, going down, I think we drove 18 hours and stopped.
Okay.
Coming back, we drove 18 hours and stopped. No, I'm lying to you. On coming home, we only drove because we weren't out of Texas yet. So we only drove 8 hours.
Oh.
Coming home. But we didn't leave till lunchtime. Because we got up because we were coming home on a Sunday. Yeah. We were coming home on a Sunday. And we got up and we went on Sunday mornings. They have a market, a farmer's market.
Yeah.
On the island, and we went to that. So it was noon, 1 o'clock before we left Aunt Kathy's, and then come home. So, all right, you ready to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, for anybody that's listening, it's going to be in Chicago at the Chicago Pipe Show Saturday.
Don't bother Bob.
I'll be there. I'll have on a shirt that says who I am, so feel free to come up and chat with me. If I act weird, it's normal. I'm by myself, and I'm going to be a little backward.
He's a very awkward person.
It does good when I am through a microphone or behind a camera. It's easy. I can hide it. But anyways, appreciate everybody listening, and hope that you all will tune in again the next time, and we appreciate you listening this time. And take care. Talk to you soon.